This video is brought to you by the University Writing Center, a unit of the Department of Rhetoric and Writing at the University of Texas at Austin. You can contact us at uwc.utexas.edu.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tristan.
And I'm Justin.
And today we'll be talking about stasis theory. It may sound unfamiliar, but don't stress. Here's how Jodi Nicotra describes it in Becoming Rhetorical.
The place where a discussion of a topic gets stuck because no agreement can be reached.
Stasis breaks arguments down into types of questions that can be asked about a particular topic. Doing this helps us figure out which question is most important for our argument.
So stasis theory goes all the way back to ancient Greek rhetoric. People often use a murder case to explain the way the stases work.
So, for example, when deciding a murder case, a judge might first consider questions of fact. Did someone, in fact, die? Is there even a body?
If the answer is yes, then she might consider whether the situation fits the definition of murder. Was the death a result of another human and not, say, an accident?
If it does meet the definition of murder, the judge might then move to questions of quality. How do we judge it? Was it done in self-defense or in defense of another person?
Finally, with other questions settled, the judge considers questions of procedure or policy. What should be done about it? If it was premeditated murder, how many years in prison, for example, does the murderer deserve?
So what you're trying to do with the murder case is decide what people already agree on and what questions they still need to debate. We need to agree that someone died and that it fits the definition of murder before we can argue about what type of murder it was or what punishment it deserves.
Right. And while a murder case seems a little far afield, we can apply stasis theory at least twice when constructing a paper. First when researching, and again before we begin drafting.
When we begin researching a paper, we can use the stasis questions to find points on which people disagree.
Let's say you're interested in soft drinks. You start researching and find a lot of people arguing about which one is the best and what qualities make it so.
But in the middle of the argument, you find some people arguing we shouldn't be drinking soft drinks at all.
If you apply stasis theory, you can see there are two different questions being argued, one of quality and one of fact.
So for someone who's convinced in point of fact that soft drinks are bad, the next stasis in the argument will be procedure. We shouldn't drink them.
If someone is not convinced of that fact, they can then have a quality argument about which is best.
But these two groups are not ready to talk to each other yet.
So stasis can help you make sense of your background research and decide which questions will actually be productive to pursue. Once you've decided where to intervene and you've conducted sufficient research, then you are ready to make an argument.
Here's the second place where these questions can help you think through not only where people disagree, but where your audience might actually be persuadable.
That's right. People aren't always willing to change positions, even after encountering powerful arguments. But often, there is some point where a person is willing to engage in order to get a result, and the stasis questions can help you find that point.
So, for example, there might be situations where your audience disagrees about facts and definitions, but they have some shared values. They might want the same end result, so they might be willing to talk policy.
We tend to go through this process a lot with audiences we engage with in real life because we know them and what they care about.
For example, when I was a kid, if I wanted pizza for dinner, I knew I couldn't convince my mother that pizza was healthy, but I could argue that it was convenient. If she needed convenience that day, there was a good chance I would get my pizza.
So, what we've learned here is that stasis is helpful in a couple of situations. It can be helpful to you in your research as you figure out what your audience really cares about. And it can help you in your writing as you figure out where your audience can be persuaded.
There is, of course, a lot more to stasis theory, but this should get you started. Thanks for joining us.